Welcome to Saucerswap Labs, the pioneering DEX on Hedera. This video will be showing you how to supply tokens to a liquidity pool on Saucerswap in order to earn additional rewards from the transactions processed on the exchange. Now, you should be receiving these rewards in the form of Hbar and Sauce, and once we provide liquidity, we'll be able to take those LP tokens and also make use of the additional crop circle / yield farms that are available on this decentralized exchange to earn some even further additional rewards. Now, of course, this video will be talking about those rewards in detail and what is likely to happen over a period of time as the popularity of DeFi rises and the usage of Saucerswap rises. But I'll also be talking about the risks associated with providing liquidity as opposed to how single-sided staking works, namely impermanent loss. So we'll be covering that. Now, it must be said, let's have a quick look at the release timetable for this platform. This video is of course going to be slightly earlier than the actual launch date, and I'll be covering why. So this is the official announcement that was taken from their Discord server. They also provided this information publicly on Twitter. So Saucerswap does actually go live on Friday, the 5th of August. It's official. Anyone with a Hashpack wallet, which is what I will be using predominantly or only, in this video, will be able to swap tokens, provide liquidity, and farm less than 1 week from the announcement. Now, there is some early access available for those of you that hold the 𝗟𝗚𝗞𝗦 NFTs. So the electromagnetic liquidity option, or ELO, for those of you who hold these NFTs, you'll be able to provide liquidity and stake your LP tokens in farms on Wednesday. Wednesday is today, and is of course the reason I am making this video, August the 3rd. In doing so, EM holders will be able to capitalize on the lower figures of total liquidity staked in farms, which has an inverse relationship with APR. Token swaps will not be enabled during this event. Then we have the whitelist event, which takes place on Thursday, August 4th, which is for anyone that holds any of the 𝗟𝗚𝗞𝗦 NFTs. You will then have access and you'll be able to perform all functions on Saucerswap. So August 3rd, if you have the EM NFT, you can provide liquidity. August 4th, if you have any of the NFTs, you'll be able to trade tokens. And then August 5th, which is Friday, is a full public launch where everyone will have access to all of the features on Saucerswap. Right, now we understand where we are. Let's take a quick look at the supported tokens from launch on Saucerswap. And there are quite a few. We can see 26 in total. We've got Hbar, of course. We've got the Sauce token, which is obviously native to this DEX. We can also see the current price of Sauce being at $0.01307 per token. So it's right in that 1 to 2 cents range for the token. And we should probably see an increase in that token as the DEX picks up speed. Of course, we've also got the Head Starter token, HST, USDC is available, Dovu, HTS tokens. I know a lot of you will be glad to see that. I will of course have videos looking at the swap features on Thursday once it goes live. We've also got the HBARX tokens, so you'll be able to use that liquidity-based token on this decentralized exchange without actually having to unstake. So we're looking at the power of that token. We've got the Jam tokens from Tune FM. We've got the USDC coin, which is a native HTS or Hedera token service coin. We've got the Creamies token, which is obviously for the Cream games, Byzantium. If I flick over, we've got some other tokens as well. So 𝗟𝗙𝗙𝗥𝗥𝗔𝗟𝗦 is obviously on here. You'll be able to pick up those. We've got 𝗟𝗜𝗦𝗖𝗟𝗔𝗠𝗦, HTS, 𝗏𝗏, DAI, stable coins, Energy Trade token, Hashgraph exchange tokens. HSuite is also available for those of you who missed the early funding rounds. You'll be able to pick that up on this exchange. We've got those Chainlink ported tokens, Mingo, Slime World, also known as NADA, Hbar is also available, Seeky, Tether, Wrapped Bitcoin, Wrapped Ethereum, and Wrapped Matic. So they are the tokens that will be supported directly from launch, and of course there'll be many more in the future as they get added. Now, looking at the pools as well, there are 13 pools from launch that have some pre-funded liquidity which you'll be able to join. Namely, these are, of course, Sauce Hbar, HST Hbar, Dovu HTS Hbar, USDC Hbar, HBARX Hbar, USDC HST, USDC to USDC HTS, Cream Hbar, Jam Hbar, Jam Sauce, Byzantium Hbar, 𝗟𝗙𝗡𝗏𝗦 Hbar, and HBARX 𝗟𝗡𝗏𝗏. So we can see at the moment some of these, or all of these, already have a small amount or a large amount of liquidity provided. We can see the Sauce Hbar pool already has $326,000 of liquidity in these pools, and I'll be showing you guys how to jump into some of these pools. If I flick across to the analytics page quickly, we're just going to look at some statistics, and the platform isn't even live yet to show the scale of how things are from day zero. So scrolling back down on the main page of Saucerswap's website, the total value locked is already sitting at just shy of $850,000 with a total market cap of $2.671 million with a circulating source of just shy of 205,000 source. And of course, the Saucerswap website has plenty of different informational sections which you guys can read about. And we have the backing by the Hbar Foundation, which we recently saw, as well as collaborators from around the space, including the likes of Stader, Hashpack, Hedera, Dovu, Stader, TuneFM, the Creators Galaxy, and of course, Hashport. And then this was all audited by Hacker. And I urge you guys to check out some of my previous videos on Saucerswap. I've been speaking about them for a long time. They are a very stable dev team within the community and are quickly becoming, or already are, one of the core pillars of the recent ecosystem success we've seen. And this launch from the decentralized exchange, or of this decentralized exchange, is really going to catapult our ecosystem forward. Right then, let's look at the risks first of all, before we then jump into how to provide liquidity into these pools. So if we flick across, the main risk associated with providing liquidity is actually something called impermanent loss. I have touched on this in previous videos, namely this being the biggest risk. Of course, we still have token fluctuation risk anyway. You still own those tokens, so you're going to suffer. However, impermanent loss adds an additional layer to this potential risk. So I actually have a example here from Whiteboard Crypto, where I've inputted some figures, and we're going to take a quick look at how impermanent loss functions. What we can see is whenever we provide liquidity to a liquidity pool, they are dual-sided. So unlike staking your Hbar to Stader's platform and receiving HBARX to then earn yield on that, you stake equal parts of two different tokens. So here I've inputted two different token prices here for token A and token B. In fact, the price for token A is actually the current Hedera price, or Hbar price, in US dollars, and token B's value is actually the USD value of the HBARX token. And this will become apparent in a second. What we can see here is that based on these prices, I have supplied equal parts in value to this liquidity pool for this example. So my total invested is 146.136, with the number of tokens of Hbar being 1,000 units and the number of tokens of HBARX being 880, due to it being a slightly higher price, and we need the values to be equivalent. Okay, so this will then be summed up and aggregated to calculate a liquidity pool value. Of course, in this example, I am the only provider in this liquidity pool, so it's going to match the value of these tokens. But what we can do is simulate price changes to each of these different tokens and then see what the impermanent loss would have been instead of us just holding the tokens. So let's see what happens if the token A price change increases by 5%. So Hbar goes up by 5%. And we'll just assume that HBARX in the same period has gone up 6% for easy numbers. Of course, this isn't a real world case. What we can see here is our new token A value has become $77, which is $4 higher for Hbar. And it's also become $77 for token B at this value here. And our new total of liquidity pool value is $154. So what we can see here in this instance, because the tokens both moved up together in the upwards direction and a very small amount between them, we saw an impermanent loss difference of 0%. Now, of course, this would differ if there was different liquidity numbers in these pools, but this gives a good example. Now let's see what happens if token A to Hbar rises rapidly in comparison to HBARX. We see a 10% increase in the value of Hbar and a 5% increase in the value of HBARX. Of course, in reality, this is not possible due to one being a derivative of another. What we actually see here is due to this difference in price appreciation between the tokens, we've actually received an impermanent loss of 0.03% on providing liquidity here. That being said, we would have been at 0.03% better off if we'd just held the tokens and not provided liquidity. Now, of course, these examples don't factor in the account for rewards. The whole reason rewards are provided is because obviously you are effectively taking risk to provide liquidity to facilitate transactions, and you are given those additional tokens or rewards to offset things like impermanent loss. Okay, let's then see what happens if token A does not change at all, but token B changes. And again, we have a very small figure. Let's do a more aggressive example of where token A's price doesn't change whatsoever and token B's price, 𝗟𝗡𝗙, increases by 25%. And what we quite quickly see is that the larger the differential between them, the greater the impermanent loss that we see. So hopefully this begins to make some sense as to how impermanent loss functions as an opportunity cost. And of course, the same being said, if one token falls in value and the other raises drastically, that's when you start seeing aggressive amounts of impermanent loss. Impermanent loss, realistically, can be a confusing subject. One of the best ways to look at it simply is an opportunity cost of holding the tokens versus providing liquidity. And we can see that as a statement here. Impermanent loss is the opportunity cost of what you lose when you provide liquidity for traders to use your coins or tokens to trade. If you invest, you will earn the fees, but you may also lose out on potential profits from coins appreciating in value. If you just hold, you get complete exposure to the coins increasing in value, but you do not earn any extra incentives. So there is a trade-off here. And here are the examples we just went through. There are 3 ways you could potentially get hit by impermanent loss. A, if one token drastically increases in price and the other remains constant. B, if one token drastically decreases in price and the other remains fairly constant. And C, if one token increases whilst the other decreases. So you see that differential. It's all to the differentials between them. Now, there is a very good reason I gave the example of 𝗟𝗡𝗙 and 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗥, and it's one of my plays to mitigate some of this additional risk. Now, many of us should know that the 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗥 token is actually a derivative of 𝗟𝗡𝗙. That is, it's a function of 𝗟𝗡𝗙, a multiplier on top of what the 𝗟𝗡𝗙 token's price is in order to calculate the 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗥 value. What does this mean? This means that the 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗥 value is always going to be a fairly constant number above what 𝗟𝗡𝗙 is, and if the value of 𝗟𝗡𝗙 rises, the value of 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗥 also rises. Therefore, each time we see an increase, both tokens will be increasing in the same direction, and both tokens should be decreasing in the same direction also, up or down. This should drastically offset impermanent loss. I'm not saying that it's impossible. Of course, you need to ensure that you're doing your own research. However, it is one of the less risky ways to provide liquidity to these token pools and earn some of those rewards. So that is the example that I'll be going through just in a second. If we also then look at the Saucerswap token, of course, there'll be some very high rewards for providing liquidity for the source token. However, as we just saw, if we see very aggressive increases in price, that is when impermanent loss can be at its highest. Therefore, if you provide liquidity into the, say, source 𝗟𝗡𝗙 pool, we may see 𝗟𝗡𝗙 continue trading sideways in the channel over the next coming weeks, and you may see the Saucerswap token explode quite rapidly due to this DEX launch, which may see you incur some impermanent loss, as opposed to how that relationship between 𝗟𝗡𝗙 and 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗥 works. However, that being said, you will likely see more rewards on the 𝗟𝗡𝗙 source pool. That's my 2 cents worth on how to try and mitigate some of the impermanent loss if you're sitting on the fence about providing liquidity into one of these pools/pairs. The 𝗟𝗡𝗙 pool is the one I'll be showing in this video. Right, so that's all the risks covered. Let's jump across and look at providing some liquidity and what the rewards for those pools is likely to be. Okay, let's provide some liquidity. So the first thing to ensure that you've done is, of course, connected your Hashpack wallet with the dApp/DEX itself. And that could be done up in the top right-hand corner here. You'd click on Add Wallet. You will receive a pop-up like this to pair with your wallet Hashpack, or you can pair with a code. You click on that and it's going to send the transaction to your Hashpack wallet in order to pair them together so that it's authorized to be used by the decentralized exchange. Now, as I showed before, there were various different pools that you could supply liquidity to. And in the example that I'll be running through in this video, for the aforementioned, will be 𝗟𝗡𝗙, 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗥. So what we're going to be doing is selecting 𝗟𝗡𝗙 for our token A, and I'm going to find 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗥 for token B. And of course, here we can see all of the predefined tokens set up by the Saucerswap team. And then of course, in the future, you'll be able to search for additional tokens as the ecosystem continues to expand. So we can see here I have selected token A and token B. Now, of course, in order to provide liquidity to the 𝗟𝗏𝗥 token, we need to ensure that we have a sufficient balance of each of the tokens in our Hashpack wallet, as well as some additional to process the transaction fees on Hedera. Of course, these are incredibly small, but we need to ensure that we have that regardless. Here you can see for the wallet I'm logged into, it's pulled both of my balances in real time. So we can see I've got roughly 32,000 Hbar tokens in this wallet and just shy of 4,000 Hbar. So let's provide 3,000 tokens of Hbar to this liquidity pool, and that's automatically going to calculate my token B estimated value. Of course, the 𝗟𝗏𝗥 token value is larger than Hbar, so this obviously makes sense at 2,634 tokens. And we can actually see that 1 𝗟𝗏𝗥 to 1 Hbar rate, which is exactly the same figure that you would see on the Hedera or the Stader Hedera staking platform when you log in. And then of course the reverse of 1 Hbar to 𝗟𝗏𝗥. Here we can see my share of the pool once I contribute these tokens and how many liquidity pool tokens or LP tokens I'm going to be receiving for providing this liquidity, and we'll be using those LP tokens in a second in the farm feature to earn some additional rewards. Okay, so we need to associate 𝗟𝗏𝗥 to begin with as it's going to be used in order to process these. So obviously I've clicked on that, and then off screen it's just popped up in my Hashpack wallet saying waiting for confirmation of the transaction. We can see the token ID here, and then of course it's the approximate fee of nearly 0.7 Hbar. So I'm going to click on approve, and it's going to ask me for my password, which I'm going to pop in quickly, and it's now executing that transaction, and this will complete in a second, and it should allow us to move across to the next stage. Okay, up in the top right hand corner there, we can see the token was successfully associated, and we can see here transaction success, it's been completed successfully. So now that I've associated 𝗟𝗏𝗥, we'll move on to the next step. Now that was just still telling me to associate the token. Just quickly refresh the page and it's all sorted itself back out. So now it's asking me to associate that 𝗟𝗏𝗥 to Hbar. And again, it's done the same thing. It's popped up immediately in my Hashpack wallet, telling me the two different token names that it's going to be basically taking, and then the transaction fee of around 0.7 Hbar. So I'm going to click on approve. I'm going to quickly punch in my password, hit unlock, and it's going to execute that transaction for me. Obviously, normally this takes literally a couple of seconds on Hedera, and then we should see what we're going to have to do next. So a token associated there is completed. It's been completed inside my Hashpack wallet. And I can now click on supply, and again it's now come up with another pop-up inside Hashpack saying execute my smart contract with the maximum gas fee and the rest of it. So again, approve, and you've got to love the security of Hashpack. Punch in my password again, and that's executing that smart contract to supply the liquidity of 3,000 Hbar and the roughly 2,600 𝗟𝗏𝗥. Done. So we can see that transaction has been successfully completed, and what I should now see in my wallet is some LP tokens appear and my balances reduce, which I can do. So my outstanding balance now is 808 Hbar. My 𝗟𝗏𝗥 balance is now 29,752. And at the bottom of my wallet, I can see the SSLP 𝗟𝗏𝗥 wrapped token, of which I received 2,811. Now, we can also see this in the My Pools feature. So it's pulled the information directly from my wallet. We can see the pooled Hbar, the pooled 𝗟𝗏𝗥, the USD value, and the share of the pool. And then how many LP tokens I have here, which is 2,811 tokens. Now, of course, we can now take these LP tokens and earn some additional rewards in the Farm tab up here at the top. If we go up to here at the top and we scroll down to 𝗟𝗏𝗥, we can actually see the APR here already is absolutely unfathomable at 1,706%. And this is obviously in addition to us earning some rewards for providing that liquidity in the first place. We can now stake these tokens to earn this crazy APR/APY. Now, of course, this rate is going to drop. It's exactly the same as Stader Hedera. The rates start off incredibly high as there's less liquidity in the pools. As that pool expands over time, we will begin to see these APRs/APYs drop. And obviously the share of the rewards has to be distributed amongst more and more users. So this is what I meant by first come, first served. You receive the highest yields by entering these pools early, providing liquidity early in order to help facilitate transactions on the DEX. Okay, so actually sort of staking these LP tokens to the farm is really straightforward. I can click the little drop down section here, and it says obviously if you need liquidity tokens, you can get them by providing liquidity to the 𝗟𝗜𝗡𝗥𝗥𝗔𝗟𝗦 protocol, which we just did. I'm going to click on stake, and I can simply click the max button here to pull up my full balance, and it also tells me the fee right here. So the stake fee in Hbar is going to cost me just shy of 4 Hbar in order to stake this, I believe. And then we can see the smart contracts popped up again. So I'm just going to click on approve, and I'm going to punch in my password. It's going to execute that. And then what we should see is I'll have those LP tokens inside my portfolio, which will jump across to another feature of Saucerswap's decentralized exchange. So successfully staked the 2,811 ℏbarx to Hbar tokens. And then we get this slightly updated interface here. So we can see the total value of those tokens, how many I've got, what I provided liquidity for. So the 3,000 Hbar, obviously minus some for fees, and then the ℏbarx. We can also see how much I've earned so far. So we can see this is changing in real time for my rewards. Now, you can harvest these rewards at any single point. And again, it's coming up for me to populate a transaction. You can add additional stake tokens if you provide more liquidity. And of course, you can then sort of harvest and then unstake it all if you want to unstake these liquidity protocol or liquidity pool tokens to then remove liquidity from those pools. If I jump across to the portfolio tab, this is a really nice feature that not many other DEXs I've actually seen have in the past. And what we can see is what I've got staked in crop circles. So currently I have a total value of $435.79 staked. And we actually have a harvest all button here. So if I'm in multiple different crop circles, which was that farm feature, I can just click harvest all, and it's going to give me all of my rewards to my Hashpack wallet instantly without me having to click each of them. We can also see here the proportion of what is staked versus unstaked. And then obviously we've got some miscellaneous stuff here as well. So really nice feature from Saucerswap team to add this into here. So that's basically run through how that all of that works. As I mentioned previously, if you go back to the liquidity tab, you can click on withdraw in order to withdraw all of your tokens from the pool. And obviously it's a complete reversal of what you just did to provide liquidity. And of course, make sure you understand how impermanent loss works. There are of course risks to doing this. This is not essentially a risk-free operation in comparison to what single-sided staking is. But hopefully the APYs that we're seeing at the moment should be more than enough to offset any potential risk in the future. Of course, 1,700% on Hbar to ℏbarx, 5,743% to Hbar HST, Jam there at 22,000% nearly, Jam Source 330,000% returns. Obviously absolutely astronomical APYs currently. These will obviously come down, but you can make the most of it on Friday when this does go live, or obviously you can make the most of it today if you are an EM NFT holder. Now, to show you the scale of what we're probably going to be seeing across Hedera, already within 15 minutes of this early access going live for EM holders, we can see the total value locked has already jumped up to just shy of 1.9 million and just keeps increasing. And obviously with the market cap of Source increasing as well to boot. In the future, we'll also have a bridge feature we can see up here at the top, as well as single-sided staking for things like Source tokens that will be available natively on Saucerswap. This has already been a very flawless sort of early access. Nothing went wrong at all during my recordings there. And of course, that's just due down to how well put together the platform is and how seriously the development team from Saucerswap Labs takes the user experience for products like this, and obviously really puts an emphasis on safety. So hopefully this has helped you guys. Of course, I will actually be releasing another video tomorrow, Thursday, when the swap features go live, just to show you guys how those work, how we can play with different settings such as slippage tolerance in order to make sure that we're minimizing any impact we see to those trades, and then how we can use those tokens to then provide additional liquidity in these pools off the back of what we've just seen. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, drop a comment if you've got something to say, and until the next one, I'll catch you then. Cheers.